Oh, that's not my enterprise. I just need to try out for that job.
Oh, okay.
Even Gary's.
My real aspiration is Oslo Industries.
What is it?
Oslo Industries.
What is that?
Well, an oscillate pattern is a form of biomimicry. That is
We'll get started around 7:10. So
Okay.
8 minutes.
sort of a
Where are the people?
It's
Yeah.
skin or hide of a creature or a
That may be remedied within a few
pattern of
years.
flower or something to that effect that resembles an eyeball or an eye.
Woo. It's pretty,
I lost you about 3 sentences ago.
Well, it's a pattern in nature that resembles an eye or eyes.
that
But
resembles
that
an
aren't eyes.
Is this an enterprise that's manifested in written or visual or a bunch?
Oh, we're in many sectors.
Okay, that's interesting. It's a great name. I would think it also would be hard to see in certain environments.
I should think so. Although, like a peacock tail.
For a liberal in San Francisco on a mission, how could you ever find them? They
These
don't
days.
blend in, right? I'm sorry,
Are there any left?
don't get me started.
Yeah.
Much less progressive.
The old cranks.
Don't get me started.
Sorry.
Should we put our books out?
Where should we put them?
My uncles were in the
They usually
longshoremen's
have-
union, they knew
they
Harry
usually
Bridges.
have a thing.
And Harry Bridges would be a conservative compared to some people today. He was a communist.
That meant a different,
Different values back then,
whole different philosophy. But he's a hero of mine for sure.
Oh, God, yes, he is, Eric Hoffer, he was fun, but I think he's way overrated, I'm sorry, but he was the longshoreman's philosopher and all that. Check her out, Hoffer, I don't like that one.
I think I like about here. Forward thinking.
Oh, yeah, he integrated. Oh, he did, yeah, my uncles were there and they were making, they took a stand and refused to handle cargo from South Africa in 1959. I'm always impressed about that, yeah.
How's it going? It's been a while.
Yeah, my uncle was gonna be head of the union, he would have succeeded Bridges, but he passed before. So when my uncle died, it was, stopped working.
So books you got? What do you got? Uh-oh.
This be a labor city, it's no
I
longer
think
labor
we're
city.
gonna need, we could just put them flat out here.
I think we'll put them a little higher. No, I think we'll put them up here so they're more elevated and seen. Okay. Let's do this. Let's move this a little bit.
Didn't offend the younger
Oh, yeah,
generation.
Move this this way.
With all the money they were making, move to the
Okay,
city.
what we can do.
That's something you guys usually did.
That's pretty routine.
That's a great.
What we'll do
That's a great book.
is lay this down and put it underneath.
Here.
There you
Here
go.
next
This
door.
friend of mine found it and read their
I knew there was a reason we were going to wait till 10 minutes after 7.
Okay.
It's not that far from SHS. Really?
It's right near Van Ness. I mean, it's not that far.
This,
No, but I'm saying that
Michael doesn't handle this.
it's a great building.
Yeah, he does.
I hope it's still around.
It was around, I think, it was over a year ago.
Okay, so we're going to put that there. If you want some more, we'll get some cups for you.
Okay.
So you got 4 titles?
He's got a couple.
How many titles altogether? 6 titles. My goodness. Well, you
We've been at it for a while.
might be able.
Well, we can lay some flat.
I can get some more, but anyway, you can arrange there to your heart's content.
Put this one like this, and just have 3 here.
And then, Sarah, we should take a look at your height in relation to this mic, and then you go by DL. How do I call you?
Oh,
David.
David. I'll call you
he's gonna
David.
go first.
All right.
Okay.
So we don't want this up blocking your face too much. So exquisite.
Uh,
Yeah.
David's going first.
Okay. But we'll check your height first, Sarah, so that I know where we're going to go with it.
5'1".
Well, when we'll have you sit up here and we'll fit you. Are you likely to stand or sit?
Oh, you go. I'm gonna stand.
Okay, so stand up here and let's take a look.
But and he's going first though.
All right, I understand. But I just
I am
So this
taller
doesn't-
than that.
yeah, but we're not going to go way up in front of your
Okay.
face. We're going to go
Oh,
like
all
that.
right.
That'll pick up fine. You don't need to do that. You can just don't get all intimate with my microphone there. And then, so you're going to be first. So I know this is compacted all the way and like at that angle. I'll be able to adjust it pretty quick. For you, sir, I think if we just go like that, you'll be about here. You want to come on up and we'll see where you are? I think that's going to work fine. Yeah. If you just talk to the room, that'll be fine. You don't have to worry about it. So that's where we'll start.
All right.
I think we know what to do.
Get my stuff.
I don't know that we know how to do it. But I think
He was a communist from Australia. That's right.
so nobody's actually sitting in this chair yet.
He's a communist.
I'm gonna put it up here.
Little bit, lot different.
And we'll leave a bit more.
You know, all the vicissitudes of Stalin and that.
So folks, everybody, we'll start at 10 after. I should advise you that everybody I've talked to lately has gotten COVID lately. So it's up to you whether to wear a mask. But it wouldn't be a bad idea. I've talked to 3 or 4 people that said, yeah, I just got it. So just beware. Wouldn't hurt to wear a mask is what I'm saying. But you don't have to.
It's hard to read.
Just don't come complaining to me if you get it.
Unless you're a ventriloquist, then it's really.
And it's 2 minutes till showtime, and Michael Koch will be your impresario.
Okay, thank you.
He's a crotchety kind of fellow. Don't get on his wrong side. What do you think? Does it look like a reading?
I've never, you ever tried to read Immanuel Kant?
No, I read Beckett's on his
Well, I just, you told the book against the wall, and hopefully when you pick it up again, the page is lands on something you understand. That's the absolute definition of circular. Which makes to me the most philosophy person in the world.
1 minute, I think.
Oh, 1 minute, wait, that sounds good.
Absolutely, yes. Is that going to be reflected in your poetry, your belief in this?
Which is your going to read first?
Oh, I never know yet.
Okay.
Oh wait, he is. I forgot. Oh yes, you are. He is.
Simultaneous.
Oh yeah, we don't know what we're doing.
Some characters, if they wear white
We
clothes.
wouldn't have it any other way. Sure.
No, he is.
I'm going to call my dad.
So DL, you were reading first.
I was going to do one on
He is.
1906 earthquake, but I was Draconian attack. Lighten it up a little bit.
Should I mention your Wittgenstein connection?
All right. It is 7:10, so I'm going to start this recording. I'm going to take a little something off the screen.
Famous sons of Wittgenstein motorcycle.
Right.
All right, folks. Well, welcome. Welcome, everyone, to Bird and Beckett, and of course, the bookstore named after Samuel Beckett and the great Charlie Bird Parker, which is a nice summoning of the necessary spirits. And we're going to have the usual 2 featured readers tonight, followed a short break and then an open session. So anyone who hasn't signed up is still welcome to do so. And the first poet this evening is L Forbes, who is honoring us by coming out of semi-retirement, apparently, or at least a hermetic phase when he has seldom been in public of late. So this is quite a delight. He's the author of 7 volumes of poetry, 3 novels, and a memoir. So, and I don't know if we're going to get a greatest hits or maybe things hot off the imagination or what, but we are very much looking forward to his reading, and then he will be followed by Sarah Menefee afterwards, and I will introduce her before she reads. So let's give a great welcome to L Forbes.
That was just for punctuation.
You already blew out the fuses.
This doesn't take too long. There's not many pages here. Okay. This first one's called To Have or Have Not. When you pretend that hunger is fasting, that poverty pious, despondency meditation, soon you may hear the night streets call, where unlit doorways await, and your arrival takes but a moment. When you have nothing but ragged skin to wear, and your way up clearly going down and out, then with nothing left to lose, you might get angry, you might get wild, you might get desperate, or you might just go shopping. What you need to exist, acquire, from supermarket, from drugstore, or the malls. And if you are detained, well, there is no great indignity in that, just something else to pass the time. Circumvent the checkout, whilst guards check out their screens, and smile to the wall, my darling, as your shadow sails on by. Of huge profit margins give not a rat's, or how their holy books chastise. Do what is needed, and maybe later think on that. This one's called Odor of Grandpa. Oh, how shall I ever forget when my grandpa took me upon his bony knee? I could not have been more than 33. Oh, on that knee did he recite 12 sagacious words times 2 from the old bard, or was it the old bastard, he said, and at once I knew I would someday become one too. Oh, wash me in the water where you washed your dirty daughter, and Grandpa too taught me to sing of the bride forsaken at the altar, with his note falling from her hand, which read, Can't get away to marry you today, my wife won't let me. Oh, the sheer enchantment, the short, sharp nuance, words to carry, to live and to die by, Grandpa said. This one's called Stranded on the Border. He left her to find a better life, left her to give birth in a makeshift tent, while winter and men raged outside. Asked her new daughter's name, she replied, I shall call her Razor Wire. Not so happy ever after. I grew my hair out very long, so that some handsome night, some balmy night, might beneath my turret tall on Sacramento Street call up at my window and say, thus he called, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, for your brave night has come, that I may climb thy golden stair. Flustered, I let down my long tress of golden hair, forgetting I had not washed it since last year. Halfway up he slipped and fell and broke his damn neck. Then right in the nick of time did I lob my locks before the rozzers arrived. This one's called Love Me Not. Carlos picked me up late one night on Polk Street, his English poor, my Spanish worse. He wore a dude hairnet to bed. Touch my hair not, he warned. Queer Carlos. He hated to be thought queer. My mother would die, he said. I don't think so, I said. He scowled at me and swigged his beer. Carlos loved me, I loved Carlos. Then one day he screamed, I love you not. I still love him. I must try it now to love him not. This one's called Tribute. Delicate rice paper, small and fine, I wrote your name 100 times. Then your name I cut and read, each concealed in balls of bread. I took thee to the windy shore where seagulls gulped and screeched for more. A tribute from the gulls and me. You're now just a shit upon the sea. Arcadian Love. You put me in an awful stew when I loved and cared for you. You danced like Puck around the pot, stirred me up and out I slopped. You caused in me such hullabaloo, I got up and ran away from you. You live now, I hear, upon the street, your cloven hooves, now dirty feet.
Wandering. 70 last week, homeless for 70 years, never a home in this world. Most can make do, I never made do, with nothing to make do about. It was some sort of life, a life of sorts, wandering the cities and shorelines, in shroud shoes that held up quite well, all considering. This is Enigma of Address. My father mostly bummed his life around. He never wanted a home, though he had a hermit's hut built in Norway and died at 61 in someone's back bedroom. Home, he said, for what reason would I need a home? I would not know what to do with a home. Home is but a noun in the head that dies with you. For his sister, he helped design a house in Vienna, brutal and white and uninhabitable, turned into stables during the war years. The horses didn't like it much either, he said. My father balked at paying rent or keep. He would sleep anywhere, and for months eat only bread and cheese, a natural wandering Jew. His dispossession I carry in my genes. This one's called A Natural Act. My sister and I were alone. I knelt at the graveside, placing my hands into my mother's urn of ash. My sister said, "Don't do that." "But she's our mother," I replied. I licked a finger and would have licked both hands, rubbed her into my hair, this fine ash of hair and skin, this grit of bone and nail. I am of her and she of me, both token and tribute to her love and life, to absorb oneself, the ash of one loved, coalesced there in death and dying. My Policeman Friend, episode 40, Sweet Brutality. Sitting in a Chinese restaurant, I love my policeman friend. He is so big, so strong, so sexy. He denies being covertly sentimental or emotional. In love, he is vulnerable and occasionally moved to tears, though never in uniform or in duty. Tears in uniform, he said, would let the side down. Side, I ask? Like we and them? You know exactly what I mean. Oh, I do? He smirks. How'd you like to be a victim of a little more police brutality? What now? Right after all that food? We took a hike by the bay, then drove up to his house on the hill. A bubble bath and sweet brutality, the order of the afternoon. People shouldn't hate all policemen, he said, drifting off into nap time. I know, I said. Most policemen are just ordinary chaps, right? Right. It's politicians people ought to hate, right? Right. If all policemen were like my policeman, and he the ruler of the world, everyone would want bubble baths and sweet brutality. Dry up. Yeah, that's better. This is called The Story of Ruth. Ruth was an attractive, affluent psychiatrist with a private practice in Los Angeles. Then she went mad, so moved to San Francisco. Ruth got cheated and her money ran out. Then she went more mad. She had nowhere to go, so she moved to a cardboard box in Cedar Alley. Ruth, now 58, looked 80. Then it rained and she went extra mad, covered in cold paper mache, so she moved to Laguna Honda Hospital. Ruth did not die quickly enough. Then one night she escaped to the beach. She looked at the ocean and she went quite sane, so moved beneath the waves and was never seen again. Thus spoke my father. Woven man nicht sprechen kann, darüber muss schweigen. Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. My father could not speak of me. His words only left their warning to remain tacit. I regrettably spoke of him in my 67th year, and now once more contend to comply, but obviously not quite yet. A second-hand life. I went on a semi-organized tour of a sperm bank. It was most interesting. You see, I don't have much of a life of my own. They gave us these free samples in little glass containers to take home. Wasn't that nice? I put mine on the sideboard next to Granny's urn, much more restful than goldfish, dreaming of all that life within. Young university students do it, you know, in little bowls, behind screens. Muscular Greek Cypriots too, I believe, all hairy and huge. Virile, clean-limbed South Africans too, I expect. £20 a chuck they get. Phew. I wonder if they have any openings. Half-Jew poets on tin chairs of lime green. Sarah and I, the two poor half-Jews that make the one we are, sit at Fern Alley in Polk in the year 2021 or year 5782, mostly cheerful to watch the Fellini show go by. For decades parades we witnessed and in ourselves shalloped. Though quite another thing in 1979 or 5740, the characters now seem more extreme, less relaxed, in a palpable air of tension. Life appears harder now for irregular folk. Folk that once free-range, cage-free street party, endless in love adventure and copulation choices, down amongst the young male hustlers of all sexes, until the old heave-ho plagues and rents took so many of us away. Now prevail the sexless social screen media generations, street entrepreneur, excrement and developer owned, as we survivors sit amongst homelessness, racism, ageism, misogyny, homophobia, gentrification, you name it. Yes, two old half-Jewish poets met just the other day. They had a lot and not to say. 5 hours they discussed their feet of clay, then hitched their arses and wandered away. On seeing Quang Trong with his head smashed pulp. Joyce Alley, San Francisco, April the 15th, 2018. Quang Trong, 49, a gentle soul, made his cardboard bed beneath my window at the base of Christ's Cross in Joyce Alley, until early one Sunday morning beneath his red steel crucifix, where person unknown did him brutally to death. Police tape went up, yet soon came down, and now we pass the splattered and the bloody spot, wondering at the mystery of our own lives. The day we die. The day would begin, but the sun will no longer shine. We could have easily seen it coming. The birds knew. They saw the end calmly. They did not mind. This one's called Trans. I was a woman once and I thought, no, I don't think much of this. So I became a man. Then I thought, oh, I don't think much of being a man either, dear. So I went back to being a woman. As soon as I was a woman again, I thought it wasn't so bad being a man, really. So a man I became again. Well, yes, you guessed it. Well, you get fed up, don't you? So a man I became. Or do I mean a woman? Where's that mirror? Inevitable cows. Last night, as he gazed into my eyes, he said, I will love you until the cows come home. I rose with the sun and watched from my window as the cows came silently along the road, turning in at the front gate. Oh, how I hate you, you inevitable cows. Same old. Remember in London circa 1966, homeless tents under viaducts and the authorities doing their clean-up, and a woman saying, this confiscation of people's tents and sleeping bags has decided whiff of genocide about it. Seeing San Francisco circa 2022, homeless tents down alleys and the authorities doing their clean-up, and a woman crying, you're destroying our lives. Same then, same now, same always. Father, philosopher, poet. I exist in cold cafes, in warm gutters, rich in sun, rich in rain. Behind my eyes, poverty and the eternal sparkle. I am my father's son. COVID and watching pelicans. Oh, the sheer heaven of this doom and gloom, this passage of time, out along empty silence, rush hour streets. Echoing from downstairs, downtown canyons, I sing, oh, I've got plenty of nothing, nothing's plenty for me. Alone with the parrots and crows, songbirds and wind sound, the lip-lap of water at the ferry building, and the sudden creak of a security guard's boot. Sir, by law, you are mandated to wear a mask. But look, I laugh, there is no one else within sight of us. Sir, it is the law, you need to wear a mask. Tell me, is human existence on this planet, I ask, really any more essential than this poor maligned virus, just struggling to live a life of its own? Close to us, a gentle flowing arc of silent pelicans pass. I say, aren't they incredible? They're all right, he said, I guess. This one's called A Desert Place. Is it risible to observe one's brutalist brain edged with rococo longings, sitting alone in a desert place? Or do I mean a brutalist life trimmed with rococo thrills, watching the moon rise over the desert? Or neither of these risible risings, awash in the brutalist and rococo, only in my desert of my mind, waiting for the streetcar to arrive? This last one here, that is all. In silence, like those unanswered prayers, all voices spent, I dance with joy at the water's edge, embracing this life in death. In the ecstasy of aloneness and quiet, there is perfect being, needing nothing, that is all. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, L Forbes. And next we'll have the pleasure of hearing Sarah Menefee, whose most recent books are Cement and Human Star. And she's a longtime housing activist and political progressive, and has done a variety of things to make a living, from childcare to casino worker. She's done it all. And she's going to share some poetry with us. Happily, at least semi-retired.
Thank you for all coming and being here. Thank you, Forbes. This is wonderful to be reading with you. We're very old friends. So I dragged him into this. So lucky all of you to hear him. Okay, I'm just going to read some things. This is for a little bit for my friend Forbes, who is the son of Ludwig Wittgenstein. And you heard some of that in his poems. Lord of. I thought he said book of flies, quoting some guy who said, all books are full of lies. That line of Wittgenstein, the only one I know, how do you get the fly out of the fly bottle, or something like that. How to get out of the book of flies, housefly? That doesn't answer the original question. This is sometimes pops up on Facebook, the birthday of somebody who's no longer on our streets. And this was for my friend Flea. He called himself F-L-E-E, who used to handle down on Drum Street. He was actually a good poet. Fentanyl got him, the streets got him. So this is called Flea. Dear Kevin Fulton Flea, did you turn 40 in eternity today? Are you still in the streets? And are they paved with gold? Or are you just that smile and never old? Does your cardboard sign still bear the Bright Days poem? Say love vibes and such that you are made of now. A light there was lit when I went out here and our streets shut down. And this is an older poem, Song for Bob Kay, with a dear friend. In my bop and rebop, and I see Bob Kaufman come out of the fog of Chinatown, where he shared the neck bones of lambs with us in those greasy spoons, and Cab Calloway and the junker going down to score the dust of the tears of stars, smoked up like perfect creation here downtown. And Howard Hart's acneed sun weeping its resins down and down. Where is my gold Cadillac with diamond wheels that swung so low for you? I was on a train last night just pulling into Reno. Bob Kay was there too. He resembled the torn-down man under the torn-down L on 3rd Avenue. Sardine of gold in its perfect oil. Oh, where are my lilac clouds with their golden furs the all-night drinkers found when they stumbled out at dawn? Oh, there you are. Okay, let me see. Okay, and this is my book, Cement, was the last book that a publisher actually published, and I've got some self-published things since then. So this is Cement. Okay. This is called Reno, which is my hometown. And go there in the summer to get nice and hot. Reno. Staggering homeless heart lost in a sea of heat waves in deserted street that couldn't drop to its vagabond knees before any heartless absence. A traveling man beside his kit sits in the honey smell of pink and white clover. Pink clover, roll me over in your pink overrolled pink clover, roll me over in your hot pink overrolled convolvulus. Pink for the sting of the homeless heart's flush staggering. A tongue twister. Okay, there's a couple more. Christmas. This was a few years back, and these people I met down south of Market that was still kind of an industrial railroad, and Homes Not Jails, which I was a founding member of them, were doing a housing takeover. And so I went around the corner and these people were camped. Christmas. This is their Christmas dinner. Pork bellies and boiled coffee, pots and pans on the burning railroad tires. Soon they're going to bulldoze and we'll be gone, camped out behind a vacant warehouse. We boiled these crabs so long all the meat fell out of the shells, so we boiled up some rice in the water. Cement. Let the cement have its moment to cry. Okay, let's see. Poetica. Poems come at me from there and there, out there, almost as sad and spacious as the ones in here. They ride in on the smallest cardboard rafts down a river that flows both back and forth. Hi, my name is John. I hunger and thirst. When you are stripped down to a bone of starlight, I will abide in you all night. Okay, that's from that. Okay. A little different. I think I'll indulge myself and read this. So it's called Plum Bruise. Sometimes I'm suffused of you as though you were still with your arms around me for a moment. Sometimes I lie with you inside me, or me inside you, I don't know. When you pushed bruises between my breasts, knocking against the bone between, you got in. Do you feel it around you sometimes? My love surrounds you when you lie with your other love. When you bruised my nipples, I didn't want to heal. I feel your impatience, your impersonal ardor still. It is what I am. Plum yellow bruise still on my left breast, purple plum on my right, heart melt. How do I turn off your magnetic pole? A jolt of magenta light shot out of my solar plexus when I thought of you today 1,000,000 times. Because there's no back door, only over the hill, that ruby mountain. I dreamed you invited me into your sleeping bag. Oh love, oh sigh, my love. He found the wishbone, but he wouldn't help me break the wish. Okay. Let's see what we have. Oh. How are we doing for time?
Doing great, don't
Okay. They're short. Okay. The signs walk by and by up the gulch and down the other way. The sleek and fine and featureless don't drift down our ravine this far, where we're fermented like fine fish wine. Put your hand down into your palm, passerby, to see what coin may be there. Human-only poverty against the bone. Okay. This is also called Reno, which is, can't escape back to, it's being gentrified. Oh boy. Okay, I have to stay here. All my crap was piled into a truck. Then I remembered I don't know how to drive, so it became a shopping cart. Parked, no destination. All the flea bag motels and little boarding houses around downtown in your hometown have become vacant lots, scraped, empty and raw. Shopping cart abandoned in the heat. You and it are gone. It's called Rains and Rains. Her head down in her hand, her bags beside her as it rains and rains. Cafe refuge for a moment as it rains and rains. Let's see, this is something when my friend Forbes and I used to sit outside the Quetzalcoatl Cafe on Polk Street and in Polk Gulch. Just watch. You heard him read a poem about it. It's called Nod. In our alley, we watched a man try to steal a jacket from the bag of a passed-out man. We yelled, and he tossed it back over the passed-out head. Poor man and poor man. Okay, this is, I have a young roommate right now who has amazing dreams. So this is what I remember from a dream that he told me. It's called The Chicken for Caliph. In the night, and I must say he's an animal rights activist, and he turned me into a vegan. It's not so bad. Okay. In the night, you broke into the house of shades and freed the poor, hopeless chicken trapped inside. It flew out the window you shattered. Then you ran and ran into the life you had saved from the slaughter of every innocence. Okay. Okay. And, all right, let me see. Do a commercial. We do have books here, so I'm lightening my load for whatever you want to give for that, or just take one. I have lots of these, so I self-publish these on Fishy Afoot, and this is, I'm going to read, I've written about 1,000,000 billion 2- and 3-liner poems. I can't tell you how many I have, so I'm going to read a few of those. This is called Whose Tears, a Book. I'm calling it a book. Whose tears filled the oceans with salt? She didn't think up war sitting alone there in electric shadow. He held out an empty palm to me and said, "You want money?" I was given the gift of 7 black doors I had to open. Decay, decay, and they who pick through way below, to our disgust, black pearls keep falling from cracked open souls. Does my doppelganger also grow older? What do you resurrect into? The same old light falling onto old chipped soul. Go take a bite of the young twilight. What's more dangerous than unconditional love? What can you do? A square may be a diamond when set a certain way. A threesome is forever. Does your sweet tooth also survive death? I'm from those windy, frazzled places myself, I explained. Okay. Her sign says, "Give a dog a bone." For the word bone, a drawing of one. Red heart, old commie red heart, old red heart, rolling down Market Street. There is no end to my wants. My wants, and mostly don't gets. Guardians of the void, now hiring. Alley of slumbering wheelchairs. I swear this is my last nothing to say poem. I mean, really soon. When you only have your elbow on which to lay your head, I ask you. Okay. I'm very good at dice games, sometimes. If the sun forgot to rise. Okay. I live with 2 young people. One is laughing, the other singing. When seen correctly, everyone has cartoon eyes. I want to live my next life as a piece of flattened cardboard. A window full of dead barflies. Sarah, you are so mean. So I'll read, okay, let me see. Oh yeah, I got, all right, so. Okay, I'll do a couple more. Stones. This is another dream told me by my young roommate. It's just the other day. He has the dreams of beings from other dimensions doing something with or to some great stones that have different names. What did he say? One was called Blood, and there was a trial. Oh, we feared judgment in every realm. The handcuffs were leeches. Give, give, say their daughters. I need to let him write it. The years. Shrilling all night, the disappeared insects left behind their song. Oh, the years of fog. Oh, the many years of no longer young, my love. It's May Day. It's May Day, but you're no longer a worker. Neither is he with his blown-out knees, his frazzled constant scavenge. No longer is she, but she has to work the streets day and night to stay alive. I am poor too, but not nearly as poor as that, not yet. And May Day is ours, here in our exile, here within our laboring bodies. May they break into lilacs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And there are books, as Sarah noted. So we are going to take, I think, a 5-minute break, and then we have, has anybody intending to read not signed up yet, or? Okay, so that will be 7 people. So, yeah, we'll start in, 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. It's 5 till 8. and then we'll have 7 readers. Everyone will have a solid 5 minutes, so be respectful of that time restraint. All right, thank you.
And one other detail is we're able to give a small honorarium to the poets, but it's very nice if you guys have an extra buck or two to throw it in the bucket and augment what we can do. So that's what this very sloppy sign says, something about dollars for poets, and this is what we can do for them. So yeah, if you got a couple bucks in your pocket that you can spare, that's great. If you don't worry about it, but it's a nice gesture. And enjoy the break. We'll see you after. You know what it says.
If only we could bend.
I'm going to work on that. Oh, I'm sure they have private.
One day.
Thanks, folks.
I get so many poems from writing that really,
across the street is really good.
We walked into like that market over there.
The Kenyan market? Yeah.
It's very expensive.
We thought about for a while, we were like, what kind of groceries in there? Could they have pre-made
I
salads?
remember the cops were just horrible.
They would all look good waste. And we would end up spending a bunch of money. So we're like,
That was a
never mind,
tough
we love
job.
this.
Oh, wow, everybody gets paid one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah. I just really glad the tradition again. And I often always cost like roughly $10 and like Caesar salad. So it's like I was like, yes, I'll have it. It's so many. It's amazing. It was a new burrito. I also
I've been to
yeah.
there's quite a few Japanese professors interested in
Oh, yeah, I like that a lot too, man.
I'm not sure exactly. Like it was about like a number.
Well, because they're not making
other than that.
yeah.
He inherited the
That's the only
brilliance.
one. No, it was Ruth.
The other son.
Yeah, that's the only one. Yeah. Well, let's see.
Yeah.
I was thinking, but you poem, like, doing poem.
No, it's born in England.
It's so much easier to like with a poem if it's about something that like personally
Yeah.
kind of goes through, you know, like love, positivity, overall. Like some of the other
You can take that one if you like. If you're interested, please have it.
Rallies for progressive shit in the city.
Oh,
Like,
really?
a guy that gets
Like an activist? Wow, that's so cool.
When I have this guy writing poetry, does it ever get inspired? Like, I want to try to write some fucking sentences.
Yeah, but I'm really bad at it.
You got a couple of your name now?
Did you write anything new, or do you have like an old?
No, I wrote something for this too.
Oh, nice. Wow. You care if I like record it? They're pretty coordinate.
Yeah, we get to get a pink.
Oh, okay. I think it'd be so cute, you know? They're kind of.
There's not more in the biography than to read that.
This is a real nice way you wrote the bark. I had to tell you, really.
Yeah,
That's his eyes.
she's ready to go.
because like that's really be like very talking.
So is he?
I don't think
He's pretty
he's
bad.
bad.
So did you in the
Someone could just
Oh,
like,
oh, oh.
I need to have a cross body. Yeah.
No, I didn't go.
You just gotta work on your left. Do you wear it on your left or
I
right?
got deep into it.
Left. You put it on your left or right shoulder?
Oh, so if you wear on your right shoulder, try to take it, you just gotta work on your left toe. And then counter.
But these ones, the thing is that you don't just leave it on and like walk and do whatever you want with your hands. Generally, it's like you're holding it. Yeah, yeah. So then like it's like a, so like somebody trying to like steal you. I feel like yeah, you just got it. That way. Yeah.
It looks really nice.
And look at our nails. I added the white today because it was like as if the blue sparkle was not enough. Wait, you did it yourself?
Six does her nails like that.
Nice.
Yeah, please.
I
guess you looking pretty out.
Right,
what do you use? I just gel. Wait, you do your own gel? Yeah, girl, I'm obsessed. It's like my favorite
Full
self-care.
service,
What
baby.
does gel mean?
Yeah, it's like yours, you don't have to wait for it to dry. Yeah, I didn't want to send my nails to the salon and I was like doing my nails. I mean, I do my own too. I mean, but the thing is that like I let it happen this way and then I do. Yeah, but it seems like you're good at not picking it though. Like if it chips. Yeah, but like I just have a nail polish. I didn't know you could do your own thing. I'm down. Let's do it. Yeah, that's my favorite self-care. I need to recharge.
How was your birthday bash?
Yeah.
Good, yeah. We had a good time. We missed you guys.
Were there any highlights? Did he get?
Yeah.
That was at like 1:45.
But nobody else was.
You guys passed out at like 10.
Yeah, because we decided to stay awake for your birthday.
We had a good time. Reading was really fun actually. It was really cheap. It was like totally for the Airbnb and
I know
the streaming was only like
I know for
$4.
$130 total.
But
Per person. Okay.
Oh, I was like, oh damn, it's real cheap
That's
out
so
there.
cheap.
It's like $8 a person.
But
Yeah.
it was and like it was really nice weather. It was like 80 degrees.
No, it was like 75. It's really nice.
So it wasn't brutally hot.
Did you guys go
and-
swimming in the lake?
Yeah, we did. That was an experience.
That
too.
was
That's a
the
new
point.
got someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
So he jumped in the water.
Yeah,
and
mine
then
was
or my
on
dad.
strike for a
Wait,
while,
so
but I got
it's
it back again.
okay, all I want to say is it was very cold. Like it was 75, but there was a light breeze and there was clouds that was stopping the sun.
Yeah, so by the time we went to the lake, we went around like 2 p.m. So we were hoping to like get rid of the sun being down on your face. It was really cute, just really nice sun. And it was very nice sun.
It was wonderful.
Yes.
It was great to
We're
listen to.
very old friends. We've been down some of the same alleys. He's not resting very much. Dragon.
Wow, good for you.
But he's very prolific with college.
Read some
It's
more.
good to put it on the air.
Absolutely. It feels good to speak out loud.
He's like, I like
Your poetry made me want to go to Reno.
I haven't been there in a few years just because of some COVID and some deaths and oh my gosh, and I usually go there at least in the summer and it's nice and dry.
you can't go to destruction.
Well, I can't move back to those very well when they run me out of San Francisco. It's affordable, but it isn't. They honestly, all around downtown where there were free bags and boarding houses and the old vintage motels that have become SROs. Last time I was there, it was all leveled off and just straight ground. And I don't know what they're gonna put up there, but it's not anything I can remember. So it was very shocking because it's been kind of a working class place for the whole time I was there. So, but still, the climate's nice. Nice river going through.
Well, I guess we are basically ready for the open set to start. So, the opening poet will be Jane, who is a veteran poet and very much respected and cherished among the poetry world.
I'll try not to fall getting up on stage. I'm reading from a book that's older, but anyway. Today's minestrone. Logos and eros, logic and the imagination. I think, therefore I do not create. Balance the image and the thought, vice and versa, so justice is done and I'm on both scales. It's a logician's mess. Math doesn't refer to reality. Tell that to an accountant. He'll try to convince you the figures say one thing and they just lie there telling it all. Math isn't real. It's somewhere between the noodles left in the bowl of soup, curlicues of alien reality. And this is a poem, The Hereafter, dedicated to my brother Stephen, 1952 to 1992. In the hereafter, everybody came in from dead so black you could never see it. In death, everybody came in from white so light you could never see it. In the hereafter, everything is so blue, a bright, clear aquamarine, so clear you can drink out of it. In the hereafter, every day is sunny, so golden you can drink it in. Get some perspective, death so close, and clouds so full of rain they could burst, so far away, and a sky so gray, it doesn't matter. Remember the good things. And this last is a travelogue. There were no condors in Peru, nor orchids in Madagascar. We saw tiny orchids on a mountainside. But there were lemurs, and if one could use the word cute to the 14th power, I could describe the lemurs. There was a sisal plantation, so ecological, so green, except rainforest had been cut down to plant it. And there were the rows of one-room houses for the workers, lined up, green indeed. In Spain, I saw a castle in ruins by the side of the road. I thought it was a fake castle, a bit of Disneyland, but it was a ruined castle. This was Spain. There were spiders to eat in Cambodia, but I could not indulge. In Japan, the seaweed moved on the plate, waving to me. Then I realized it was because it was paper thin. And every country has its hat. The only thing is how to get it back on the plane. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jane. And our next reader will be Paul D.
All right. This is called The Hippo. Dry, rotting earth, damp and still, I'm waiting. A trickle of water, my eyelids deflating. Save me now before I suffocate. I can't sleep, school's out and I already ate. Winding down while she runs through my mind. I like Twizzlers and she likes red vines. Hold me close, but split in two. I'm lacing up my running shoes. to run, but also to walk, and to climb her magic beanstalk. My head whips backward, and what does that smell? I'll figure out later. Need to lift this barbell. New car smell. While I drive through Carmel. Looking like a zombie 'cause I'm on a dry spell. Phone swipes, wet wipes, looking for a date. She's wearing a mask, but the top half of her face looks great. Black coffee strolling through Golden Gate Park. Hooded figure in the grass, swimming with the sharks. Give the serpent what he wants, Times New Roman font. Layered up in spring like an arsicolt croissant. Burning eyes and a golden throne. Safe to say my mind was blown. Lost in a jungle without a flint. I'll cross that bridge on accident. Then we kissed. Lips like fettuccine. Windswept hair underneath a red beanie. Teeth white, airtight, baby let's siesta. Skiing in the mud, it's time to request a relationship. Third floor at the beach, Romeo's in trouble. Hold my hand, Juliet, strength in the struggle. We built it up, now tear it down to the cold, gray foundation. Sweaty bodies intersect, I've reached my destination.
Thank you, Paul. The next reader will be David. David K. Is that correct?
H.
H. David H.
Thanks. Yeah, my name's David Hutchinson. This is it's quite a. I didn't expect that. So it's difficult to know how to proceed. I'm going to read a couple of poems from my first book, and then one from the book that I'm writing that's unfinished. The first book's called The Watershed. And I probably won't pronounce this title correctly. It's Irish, but I'll try. Oilen on Tartar. On the islands of the wind, Aster petals spurred his wheels, leaving reasons roan on gales. Nascent collared mergansers and migrations on the airs, all that move and lift is flown, that might just find those there. They are as many as the mist that masks the light that runs, yet scarce as solid ground, emerging from the suns. Overturned beyond the husk, are all akimbo to the welkin, that white away of wisps, that gust above loose shores. As the calm requites and beckons whispered forms, imagle efforts in the haze and spheres yet to be born. And this one's about a sort of a famous to me anyway, Irish pirate queen named Grace O'Malley. It's called Ginger Mallow. Sit in the dell and linger over tea and primatur, tresses in hibiscus over musty trods on bogs. Galleys full and flaxen kith foreshore the circles round, that caper pitching clarions in Stygian peat tar. Plumed and basking face of fearless scores unspoken, sovereign and damp sails in sheltered coves and eyots. Exploits of forgotten journey and visits with the grace, to return lost horizons as the night befalls apace. Set on blankets soft as hard as awful years, and drinks long left untoasted, growing cold on mental tears. This one's called Hemispheres. It's about inequality. Though Aristarchus may be clear to equations in the ether, not so for Marianus dwellers in the phosphorus own light. Gone but to the afterlight, of remembrance borne by reflections from above that revolve walking on either. Just reflections in the distance of that desire sees, be that wingness and indifference, or thoughtful, generous solidarity. The light soon reaches even Arctic skies and luminosity of springtime that washes driftwood from the beaches. Southlands bathed in long shadows of Alerce, climbing high, ever high along the coast to canopies and towering embrace of distinction. Qualms that linger on refrains still echoed from the past, that offers naught but doors, unopened wherein we deposit the gains. Midpoints shifted as borders relinquish, geographies of established that present the image of agreement as temporal as entreaties in two scripts. One that's just as written, and another misunderstood, as the story of lives lived with an empty claim of always could've. So that's what about tonight.
Great, that was David, and Paul S. is next.
I mentioned a couple of things here. I was born in a hospital in Haight-Ashbury, and it was called St. Joseph's, so it's no longer there, but it was on Buena Vista East. And then I mentioned Kezar Stadium in this poem, and Kezar Stadium was one of the few stadiums in America built for football that faced east and west instead of north and south. I was born in a Haight in 48 in a hospital named for the Earth Father of a God. There have been many strides since over these baby steps in that neighborhood. This day, modern time, a Haight Street walk, starting across from the old Kezar Stadium, back then ball sailing from east and west, not north and south. Haight and Stanton, new Dust Bowl fugitives, bivouacked refugees from crystal highways, speaking in soliloquies, utterances static as her dog Spike prances, ignoring the SFPCA possibility. Down Haight, past the Amoeba store, millions of notes, and I only have 2 ears. Walk past the new and old Mercantile, Novo Hip, old wavy gravy emporiums with aromas of kingdoms without pavements. I remembered the diggers. They were never quite the entrepreneurs. As I walked, prayer wheels spun with credit card numbers and mantras in shops selling the artifacts of old psychic empires with new antiquities. I passed old edifices with modern patinas, patchouli benign, funky with frankincense, propaganda for a new age. At the intersection of Haight and Ashbury, black on white street signs, public works aesthetics at its best. U-turn at Masonic, named after a cemetery. Any zombies from there must be deadheads. Back up Haight, toward the park. What is this place? Did wizards place a fissure in North America, install a petri dish in the Haight-Ashbury for the children of paradise before they were captured by the animal farm and became Bukowski protagonists? A noble experiment. Old hippie on the street, flowers in his hair, now a dry arrangement. Mumbling, maybe a Hare Krishna chant, a slow Bojangles prance. On his inner souls, still waiting all those years for that Part 4 VW so he can go home. People in doorways with Timothy Leary eyes, chemistry in their frontal lobes, staring at banners announcing 76 trombone parades anytime, any day. Music in bars, libertine with libations, window seats for the cavalcade going by, the show definitely off Broadway. Bookstore on Haight still survives for the pre-iPhone intelligentsia, paper and cloth resilient against the teeth of megabytes. The end of my sojourn, waiting for the number 33 for that trip home, thinking, what is to Haight? A Greek tragedy? A remake of Our Town? A playground for Rigolettos? A rehearsal for Hair? A very long miniseries about a new age with plenty of extras? Or just another Frisco neighborhood with regulars and irregulars and West Coast Vox Populi? Riding home on the 33 thinking, a good walk for a native son that day, but bring a National Geographic mind. As a senior, I'll always carry my Medicare card in a hate. You never know when some jester or prankster will slip a window pane tab in your chai tea. However, Grace Slick did say, feed your head. Back in the Richmond district, my neighborhood, sitting in a cafe by the farmer's market. Same city, different vibe, different cornucopia. I'll visit the hate soon, during the morning rush hour. After all, the citizens of that neighborhood are only a few miles away. Thank you.
Like that, we're San Francisco OG giving us a tour, a little historical
I
perspective.
didn't have anything to do with my parents were here. I didn't choose to be born.
Oh, you might have, who knows? So, Alice Rogoff is our next poet.
Well, this was based on a prompt called Cobblestones, but this is dedicated to Tony Ryan, who died recently and was very interested in Cuba. Cobblestones, under my feet, treading through the hot days of Cuba. Tony didn't tell me about cobblestones in the town of Trinidad, or the music, salsa and son, and Afro-Cuban dancers taking my hand and dancing with me for 1 hour. Tony and I talked about bringing books across the border on a Cubana airline from Mexico City, landing in an airport named for Jose Marti, a poet. How do you have borders on an island? Some things are so complicated as cobblestones and the spaces in between them. Going to Casa de los Americas to hear Margaret Rando speak at the International Book Fair, go over a bridge to the fair, trying to pay with one of two kinds of coins. Everything costs less in Cuban coins. Why does Nancy Marajan's poem to Tony say quiero? Why is love in Spanish want? The spaces in between cobblestones pinch my bare feet, trip my shoed feet. It's harder to walk the walk, but I keep going. And this is also another prompt. It was called Money Has No Master, or Silver Has No Master. And there's a quote that I read that said, Broadway musicals don't mention money, but Brecht plays all do. If I go back in time, I am pushing the wheat that will pay for corn, 3 barrels of rye for a barrel of tomatoes. I can feel the corn husks in between my hands and smell ripe apples. Sunday, 2022, the Food Street Fair. I stand in front of a stand of Japanese eggplant, find the dollar bill to pass between us. Money has no master. It passes from me to you and can completely leave me. It can go up and down as a price. It changes value. I think I am the master of my coins, but they fall from my pockets when I am not looking. The street fair flower lady will not give me a flower for a song. Broadway musicals don't mention money, but all Brecht plays do. And this is called Seahorses. The two of us dance with our manes close together, turning bright gold. We entice, happily mate. Soon after, I bring all those eggs to place in his convenient pouch, and off I go, me, the female, to live my life, as the male in my life takes care of all the growing little seahorses. So convenient of him to do that.
Thank you, Alice. And our next poet will be August, whose dog is recovering at home. As one of fabulous dogs.
Thank you so much for mentioning her. My name is August Bleed, and I play an imaginary person who's trying to be a real person, but he doesn't really exist. I was told earlier today, as I was showing my roommate's young boyfriend my pants, he said that this brought me authenticity. And so I thought, well, what is my poetry lacking, And I thought, well, maybe it's authenticity, There are windows from which I cannot turn, doors I cannot help but open. In each I have heard the clocks tick, my particular hour, spied the blind whip that snaps from my flesh alone. I am the shadow that keeps watch at the edge of this dead room. Under my feet lies a cemetery of questions unanswered. Smoking my last cigarette, I realize this stale air marries me to the living and the dead. Ghosts press their severed veins to my lips. So, if breath escapes, if the heavy smoke of my breath escapes my lips in the shape of the past, then it could only be you, Father, walking on teeth and lies, who drops the immense shadow on my bed to cover half my life. Though I'm the star that hangs over your death, this night surely devours us both.
Edward A.
Hi, I'm a nobody. I just started writing poetry about 8 months ago, as a form of self-therapy, actually. And this poem talks about the beginning of a very difficult journey for my girlfriend and I. It's called The News. Now we know where this phrase comes from. It's a tough pill to swallow. And these pills they give her are tough indeed. Intended to curb her nausea and headaches, yet nothing to treat the fear that creeps up in her gut. Fear of the unknown is akin to anxiety. Who needs more anxiety in this COVID era? She's determined to make it okay, more so for her family and friends than herself. A trail of an empathetic leader, not a sickly patient. Her emotions must be swirling round and round, like a hurricane about to hit the ground. Her external mannerisms seem steady, focused on the next meeting, concentrated on the plan to follow, awaiting a call to action. She hears of the treatment proposal laid before her, somewhat impossible to fully comprehend the task at hand. But here she sits talking to her village of supporters, presenting the next 12-month schedule as a CEO would present to the board. Pleasantries, tactical strategy, and a smile to be shared, all due to her strength exuded even during the most difficult of circumstances. I, the partner, well, I'm dealing with my own grief, a selfish concept I can't quite digest. Then again, shame may come and go, but my confidence in her grows. We look in each other's eyes, words conveyed at a glance. Once the treacherous path lay before us, we uncovered the full depth of our partnership. I saw the cosmos unfold while looking in her eyes, my future staring right back at me. I'd like to read one more, if I can find it here. No backstory to this. I'd like to keep it fluid. It's called Chrysalis. I'm seeing you naked truly for the first time. Not in that teenage puberty stage view. No, this is a full 2 hours and 45-minute screening of your realness. Your vulnerabilities laid flat out like a vintage placemat before supper. Here we sit at the table, and I'm in awe of how much you glow. Your grace on full display as I witness you embrace this struggle. Your eyes light up like the burning of a star as the next stage of your evolution unfolds. Your path to greatness becomes clearer. I see you like the verse spoken amongst the fictional Nabi. Your weakness, nothing more than the human condition, but your strength, only referenced in divine scripture. How can such conflict inspire more compassion in you? You teach lessons without knowing it, the love you give, the greatest of them all. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. And Zue is the next reader. Is it anyone who wants to read who hasn't signed up yet, who's come late, or you okay? So you will follow it.
Dude, that is some good shit, man. I think I fell in love with it.
You can have it. So this is one of my Muni bus poem series. From my experience. So it's called Little Suicide. A little episode on bus 22. A short ride from Potrero Hill to the mission. What are you? Are you Chinese, Korean, Japanese? 6 p.m. bus 22 ride to the mission. A lady in the front seat asking a girl sitting next to me. The lady's giggling face is red and swollen, as if soaked in a bathtub for many hours. Her breath smells like alcohol, even from a few feet away. The girl does not respond and continues reading her book. Are you Chinese, Korean, Japanese? You must be Chinese, aren't you? Still no answer, and not even looking up from her book. The lady persists, then gives up. But not really. Soon her gaze moves towards me. What are you? Are you Chinese, Korean, Japanese? I didn't answer it, smiling softly, yet still I don't answer her questions. And get off the bus, regretting I should have said in return, shut up, it's none of your business. Should I have said that? No, in fact, I should have asked back. What are you? Are you Dutch, German, Irish? You must be Irish, alcohol fermented bitch. And giggle back at her. What would she have said if I asked a question? Would she stay quiet as the girl and I did? Why didn't I ask that? Why did both the girl and I stay quiet? Little suicide on the short bus ride killed me for the entire evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Kazoo. That's one of those little bus rides that really opens up a huge vista of our experience. And who is the other person who? Yes, and what is your name?
Lucy.
Lucy. Lucy will be the concluding reader of the open session.
Hello. Relover, why do you appear in dream, even after all of these years have passed? Love haunts me with your eyes' magnetic gleam. Oh, if I could see you again at last. Verisimilitude trumps illusion. Even the skeptics now again believe. Real love cannot destroy its connection. Relover, please know how my heart did grieve. Empty your soul for me again to hold. Visceral pain and pleasure now ignite. Only if you had not already wed. Listen to your heart tell you what is right. Even after all these years, I still love. Remerciement to you, former dove. And I'm going to read one in French, even if my French isn't 100% perfect. Are other languages permitted? Yeah. I don't know. It's okay.
You might not even notice it's in French.
Lune. Lune, ma belle lune, comme tu es magnifique. Tu brilles sur le reflet du soleil comme un miroir de la taille d'une planète. Je me regarde dans ton reflet et je vois ton beau visage. Est-ce que c'est la tienne ou la mienne? Peu importe, ma belle lune lunatique, tu es folle, mais je t'aime quand même. J'aimerais être un homme ou un astronaute pour pouvoir marcher sur toi, toucher ta chair. La belle chair de la lune est l'une des choses les plus douces de cette atmosphère, de cet univers. La voie lactée autour de nos yeux fait briller ta brillance. Comme tu es intelligente, tu es un génie, tu es simplement illuminée, savante, outre les autres esprits de cette terre. L'une des choses que j'ai apprises par toi, c'était que la terre n'est pas le centre de l'univers, que nous ne tournons pas autour des humains, mais des règles et des forces plus grandes que nous. Ce sont les étoiles qui gouvernent, mais leur système n'est pas démocratique. Il faut laisser notre chance aux planètes. Il faut croire, pas en Dieu, mais dans les galaxies, et prier pour elles.
I'll close with something very short, and we will call it an evening of poesy. Poésie. So it's entitled Adrift Between Storms. We talk, but silence reigns. We walk and get nowhere. We're wounded gossamer in a stupendous wind, gagging on the metaphor. We tremble at rumors, drown in our jobs, stalk the sirens whose song will poison us. But love the tempest we must, as, stupid as weather, we chase our beautiful tales. Great. Thank you, everyone.
It was so vivid. Yeah, it was really nice. Very vivid too. I could picture everything you were saying.